Hello everyone and welcome back once again to Cozy Reads. I hope you've all been keeping well. Thank you for joining me again for another story. In today's story, we'll carry on with the tale of Regalion. With the aftermath of battle now moving further into the past, the group get a moment of respite to confer and heal their wounds. Tension is still present, however, as they have a new member on their team, one who was most recently an enemy. Let's check in with our heroes and follow them in their moment of respite. A tired-looking older man is waiting at the train station. He has caught this train many times before, having to be all over helping those in need. As he looked around at all the people waiting for the train, he thought to himself how exhausted everyone looked. He liked these moments though. It felt melancholic. Everyone waiting here all to get packed into a metal carriage like sardines. But it was nice to be out, to just get lost in the quiet as people didn't seem to talk to each other while waiting for a train unless they knew each other. Then again, it's probably where the train station was. It was in a rural area, surrounded by trees and hillsides. It seemed odd, almost out of place, but it had become a nice addition to the area. Many older people were against the train station being built, him included, but after much coaxing from his son, he ended up using the train, and he realised how fun it was to go on a long train journey while looking out at the scenery, just to get washed away in the beauty of it all. As he looked down at his watch, double checking the time, he thought as to why he was called out. He was meeting an old friend, someone who he hadn't seen in a while, and who he hoped he wouldn't have to see in these circumstances again.
Hi!
He made the individual promise not to be so reckless, because he couldn't keep patching him up. But you can't keep the youth lax for too long, this thought made him chuckle. As he looked up, he saw the train coming around the mountain, making its way to the station, letting out a loud toot toot as it approached. So what's the plan then? Bree uttered as they neared the clearing of the forest and approached the small town. I know someone who lives here, Max explained. We're able to hide out here until our doctor friend arrives to help patch us up properly. They neared a road, and Max told the others that if they kept following the road, then they would arrive in town. However, the problem is that due to how they look, covered in cuts, bruises and blood, it would not be the best idea to simply walk into town. They would arouse way too much suspicion. Ha! Is that a little thing that you learned from your Reaper days? Kinda cool that you would think of something like that, Bree said. Yeah, Max replied, looking a little sheepish. We always had to make sure that we never attracted unwanted attention. It taught me to always carry extra clothes to help in concealing myself. While I have changing clothes in my bag, Hector's another issue, as I don't have anything that can fit him. So seeing as how you're the least suspicious, due to you not being so badly injured, it might be best for me and Hector to get cleaned up as best we can. There's a stream near here that we can use. While we're doing that, Bree, if you can head into town and buy some changing clothes for Hector, nothing too crazy, mainly a coat, shirt and trousers should be enough. Max finished explaining and started rummaging through his bag looking for some money that he could give to Bree. He was able to find enough for Bree to buy the clothes, and then to buy some food as well, stating, as we haven't eaten in a while, and I don't know about you guys, but I would kill for a sandwich. Wait, are you sure that a coat would be ideal in this weather? I mean, it's a good 30 degrees out. Wouldn't people be skeptical of a big guy wearing a huge coat in this weather? Bree questioned. You're right, it would look suspicious, but Hector is beat up. He has wounds all over, and a simple t-shirt won't be enough, even with cleaning up the wounds. The scratches and bruises on his arm would still be visible. It would look less suspicious than if he walked around looking like he just came from a war zone, Max replied. Bree looked over at Hector, who grunted, adding, I'm a big guy, so double X large might be what you have to get me. I haven't bought clothes for myself in a while, but I'm sure it should be big enough, hopefully. Bree then looked him over, trying to determine his size, stating, I'll just get what I think will fit you. Anyway, how will we know where to find each other? She turned to Max as she said this. He started going over the plan. Okay, so we'll all head to the stream now, so Bree knows where to find us. From there, we will set up camp. We won't be there for too long. It's mainly so that me and Hector can get cleaned up and give you time to go into town. Once we picked a spot, I would then head as close to town as possible with you, so that you have an idea of how to get there and back. I will then leave you to head into town and come back to the campsite. From there, me and Hector will wait for you to get what we need and come back. Oh, and don't worry too much about Reaper threats. The goodness about this town is that the Reapers don't have much of an influence here, which is one of the reasons why my friend moved here. Once we're ready to move out, we'll then pack up and all of us will head into town. We just need to meet up at my friend's house. From there, we'll be able to relax and recoup until the doctor arrives. After he has patched us up, we then need to carry on our journey to meet with Scarlett and the others. While their location is not too far from here, I didn't anticipate the mess we would get ourselves in, which is why I decided it might be best to get patched up first. Especially because we don't know exactly what we'll be running into at Scarlett's location, Max explained. But you do know where she is, right? Hector asked. Yeah, she gave me her general location. It's Reaper training as to why we don't reveal our actual location, but I have an idea from where she is based on the general location. If I'm right, then we should hopefully get better medical attention there. However, it's too much of a gamble to take if I'm wrong, which is why I decided we should get checked out by a doctor before we start going, Max answered. Makes sense to me, Hector replied. Good, then we're all set. Let's go, Bree finished. As she said this, the trio turned and looked over the wilderness, anticipating the walk ahead and reflecting on the fight they had, with Bree adding, as beautiful as nature is, I think I've seen enough of it for one day. I am tired, and I would kill for a hot bath right about now. Hector looked on, unwavering, as he said, Nature truly is beautiful, and it is something that I believe needs to be preserved. As hypocritical as that is, I grew up surrounded by nature, which is why I curse the powers that I have for being so destructive. As he said this, he looked down at his hands and clenched his fists. Bree looked over at him and noticed that he seemed extremely saddened by what he had just said. For once, he didn't seem like the raging, murderous sociopath from before. He looked human, not like a bear. It made her realize that these godforsaken are people too, and some of them even curse the abilities that they have, while others would kill to be able to do what they can do. Some of them are truly disheartened by their powers, and want nothing more than to live a normal life. She tried to imagine what type of person Hector would have been if he wasn't godforsaken. She concluded that he probably would have been a major activist for nature preservation, and probably a born to be wild and free kind of guy. Cool, she thought. Max also noticed what Hector had said, but for him, it hit home a little bit more. As being a Reaper, he can relate to the whole not being able to live a normal life thing. He shook his head, smiled, and instead thought of all the good people he had met because of being a Reaper. True, your powers might not be ideal for living a normal life, but what is normal when you think about it? You can always find ways to use your powers for good, to help others, and to help nature. As mushy as all that sounds, because we've only just met, Max said as he carried on looking forward with a smile on his face. One thing I've always believed is that normal is overrated. It's far more fun and interesting to be your quirky and weird self, no matter what others say. Being yourself is the coolest thing anyone can ever be. As he said this, Bree looked over at him, and she caught Hector looking at him as well. Bree smiled as she saw Hector's face soften when Max said this. She liked moments like this, seeing the layers of people and seeing that they are more than what you see at face value. She looked down, smiling as she thought about what Max had just said, realizing that her grandmother had the same philosophy. It made her chuckle a bit, but she abruptly stopped when she heard Hector break out in complete laughter. What made it even weirder was that Max started laughing too, and she caught herself starting to laugh as well. Hahaha, oh, I've never had anyone talk to me like that before. You would have thought a Reaper with a heart. Now I've seen it all. Hector laughed as he patted Max on the back. But in all honesty, thanks. I needed that. I guess being with you guys for a bit might not be so bad. It could even beat being on my own. Hector smiled as he said this, finally stating, So, where to, boss?
Thanks for the ride.
Max looked ahead in the direction of the stream and started walking, as Bree and Hector followed behind. After a few hours of walking, they finally came upon the clearing to the stream. They had a few choice encounters with some hikers and campers, which meant that they had to hide and wait for them to pass by, but all in all, the team was able to make it to the stream undetected. Alright, this is as good a place as any to settle down for a bit. We should be relatively hidden from any prying eyes, Max said as he put his bag on the ground and started to get out a towel that they could use to dry themselves. This can work, Hector added. And it's not too far from the clearing, even though we are relatively hidden, so I should be able to find my way to you guys alright, Bree concluded. Alright then, me and Bree will start heading toward the town then. The quicker we do this, the quicker we can get to my friend's place and have a much better place to hide. Max told Bree and Hector. Alright then, I'll start up. I'll get to cleaning my wounds as best I can, and I'll try not to ditch you guys the moment your back is turned. Hector added with a smirk. I can watch him if you guys don't trust him. It will be fun to have my way with his head again, especially if he turns out to be untrustworthy, Butrid said in a more sinister tone. It's alright. While we've only just met, we need to show that we can all be trusted, that we can all trust each other. While I'm completely 100% for the idea, I know it would be better if we trust you to remain here and work on getting yourself cleaned up. Max explained while tightening his grip on Butrid's lantern and staring directly at Hector. This prompted Max to think about Celeste, who was in rest mode during all this, having to recuperate after the fight with Hector. Max would have wanted nothing more than to let Butrid have his way with Hector, but he knew it was better for the plan if they learned to trust Hector a bit. Enough that he won't turn on them at the first opportunity. Well, I would prefer for someone, even Butrid, to look over Hector. I guess you're right. It could be like a trust building exercise, you know? Except if it fails, then we lose a living weapon of mass destruction, Bree added. Hector glanced at her and narrowed his eyes, but he grunted in acknowledgement of Max's idea, adding that he won't run away. With that, Bree and Max set off towards the town, while Hector remained back to get himself cleaned up. The sun was coming down by now, as to get from base camp to the entrance to town took almost 2 hours. It meant that they were far enough away that hopefully no one should come stumbling onto them, but it also meant that time was ticking on. Bree and Max surmised that by the time Bree got back to base camp it would be night, which meant that she would have to be more careful, but it also gave them the advantage of night when reaching Max's friend's house. Once Max made sure that Bree had everything she needed, as well as she knew how to get back to base camp, he bid her farewell and good luck, and started on his way back to Hector. Bree said her goodbyes, and after psyching herself up, she walked into town. As she was walking, she couldn't shake the feeling of anxiousness, which made her question herself. She had been shopping so many times before. I mean, by this point, it's something that people do daily, yet with everything that happened, and being alone for the first time in what felt like a long time, it gave her some downtime to reflect on everything, and she realised how in over her head she was. This started as just trying to find out about herself and the world her grandmother was involved in, as well as the pendant she was given, and now she's fought powerful beings and seen the destruction they can cause. She felt like she was only scratching the surface. She knew that there would be plenty more to come, more powerful and scary beings, and she knew that she would need to be ready if she was to get through this in one piece. She thought about all the people she had met. Max is the quirky, kind of weird at times leader who went from seeming like he was a little shy to showing that he was a good leader with confidence. He was unapologetically himself, even if she did find him weird when she first met him. He'd started to grow on her. His two companions, Celeste, the pompous-ass angel, or rather, that was again her first impression. But after some time, she started to see her as more of a concerned older sister, and Butrid, the unchanging, all-out, rude and misogynistic daemon. She knew that him being a daemon meant that the cards were kind of stacked in favour of him being a dick. But again, he'd started to grow on her a bit. Even if 99.9% of the time, the moment he opens his mouth, she wants to punch him square in it. Skaith. From the moment Bree met her, she thought she was beautiful, otherworldly, and just enchanting, but at the same time, she had a strong presence about her, a presence that commanded respect. And Bree would be lying if she said that she wasn't into the whole dominating partner type. But Bree knew that Skaith was an invaluable teacher. While she hadn't learnt much from her yet, just looking at her, she could tell that Skaith was a treasure trove of information, and she would love to pick her brain at some point. And then finally there was Hector, the guy who tried to kill her, the guy who reminded her of a bear or gorilla. She hated him when she first met him, and yes, him trying to kill her was a big part of that. But as they all travelled together, she realised that there was more to him. Funnily enough, he's probably the type of guy she would have gone for back in her old life before all of this, the big, bad, muscly kind of guy. But she realised that there's more to a person than how they look, and funnily enough, Hector had more layers to him. Even though it had only been less than 24 hours since she knew him, fighting against him and the weird connection she felt with him fueled their understanding of each other, making her feel like she had known him far longer. She thought about how she never would have met any of these people if not for first meeting Max. He changed her life and introduced her to a world that she could only dream of. Whether it be for better or worse, she was here, and she would see this through to the end. And that brings chapter 20 of this story to an end. I hope you've all been enjoying the series. With everyone coming together in this moment of calm, Bree gets a chance to reflect and think on her journey thus far and the people she has met. A lot has happened to her in such a short space of time, but with the determination and fearlessness that she has, Bree will ensure that none of what she's experienced can stop her, doing her best to see this journey through to the end. But until then, I hope you are all sufficiently warmed up and that this story has brought you some level of comfort. I wish you safe travels on the journey of life, and feel free to come back again whenever you need a new story to warm your day.